Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca Timmis. I'm an author illustrator from the sunny Gold Coast in Queensland, and I write junior fiction for ages 6 to 10 years old. I've got the Mertale series and also a new book out this month called Jawsome, which is about 4 sharks who are ordinary shark kids by day and internationally famous rock stars by night. Up to you, Kristy.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristy Nita. I'm an emerging junior fiction author who's working on something at the moment that may push me into middle grade, but I've had 2 releases. I've had Looking for Lily, which is currently shortlisted in the 2023 West Australian Young Readers Book Award. It's 14,000 words, it's got pictures in it, it's really cool. It's about a whole bunch of sprites that can fly and can heal and set things on fire and can also play heavy metal music. And one of them goes missing and the others have to find her. So that's Looking for Lily. And last month I released my second junior fiction chapter book, and it's called Baby and Beth's Double Act, Where's My Whistle? And it's about a set of twins. One of them can whistle and one can't. And all the problems start when the music teacher sets the end of year song as a song that has whistling in it. So one of the twins has to work out, is she going to learn how to whistle or not? So wonder what happens with that.
So we're going to do an interview today, but we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about our books and our experiences writing a little bit, but we're also going to ask just some pretty random questions because I think we both write kind of random funny things, so it sort of makes sense. So I am going to shoot off with the first question for you. Okay, what is your most embarrassing moment?
So I was thinking about this, and there's been a few things as an adult that have been embarrassing, like tripping over in front of a class of adults at TAFE where I teach, being heavily pregnant, things like that happened, and that was quite embarrassing. But I think the first time I was ever truly embarrassed, I was in year 1. And I was on a school bus because back in the day we had to take a bus. We lived in the bush, and the bus ride was about an hour almost to get to primary school. And I was in year 1 and I was at the front of the bus, and my sister, my older sister, who was in year 7, ran down the aisles, pulled my pants down in front of everybody and ran off laughing. And I was sitting there like crying. So yeah, I think that's my most embarrassing moment that I remember quite clearly.
Oh no, I knew you were going to say that. I knew. I went to Gurry up off the Sunshine Coast recently, and we were doing it's a beautiful island. People might know it as Fraser Island, and it's the largest sand island in the world, and you can do all 4 driving and stuff through it. And we were 4 driving off the ferry, and it's about an hour to get to the first stop, and I really needed to go to the toilet so bad. And I needed to go before we even got off the ferry, and I didn't realize there was a toilet on the ferry, and I wish I had just gone then. It would have saved me so much drama. So we're 4 driving over like all these crazy bumps for like an hour, and I was just nearly dying. And we finally get to this picnic stop, and there was another 4 drive behind us of people I didn't know, but we got there first. So I'm like quickly running into the bush.
Yeah.
Pull down my dacks, and I'm mid-wee of the best wee of my life, and realized I was weeing on an ant's nest of big bull ants. And so they start like jumping all over my legs and biting me and going all the way up my legs and biting my hands. I'm screaming because it hurts so much, but I wasn't finished. So I have to keep going.
So
and then I can hear the other full drive pull up of all these people, and my friends are yelling out, Rebecca, people are coming. So I'm kind of scrambling out of the bush, covered in all these ant bites, and I was in so much pain. And trying not to let these people see me with my pants down. So
that's great. You should put that in a book.
I totally should. See, then it's worth it. If it makes a good story, it's worth it.
Yeah, totally. I've sat on an ant's nest as well. I remember in year 8 at a party, Yeah, it's not nice.
They're
Yeah, I was
angry,
like,
like they
putting that
don't like their
closer.
house being sat on, or yeah,
Yeah,
they go
yeah.
crazy. How old were you when that happened?
I was in year 8, so I was probably about, maybe 12, and,
Oh
yeah,
no.
we were sitting in this park. It was dark because it was a party, you know, a teenage party, and I'm, like, sitting next to the boy I like, and then all of a sudden I can feel these ants on me. I felt like they were in my hair and coming across my eyeballs, and then I just get up and scream and start stripping off my clothes and running up the hill. I'm like, "I've got to have a shower. I've got to have a shower." Okay, should I ask you a question?
Oh sure.
Okay, cool. All right. Do you hide any secrets in your books that only you or a few people might know about?
I do. I love this. So I wrote a middle grade novel called The Brothers of Turok, just kind of like an adventure fantasy. And there's a creature in that called the Ayla, which is this giant scorpion monster. And we had a cat named Ayla who was really fat. She was the most beautiful cat. She was so lovely and well natured, but yeah, she was huge. But yeah, so that was kind of for just really my family to have that in there. But in Jawsome, I've actually got. So I'm writing a story at the moment about interdimensional travel, which is more of a middle grade. And I don't know if we can see on there. On
Yeah.
this page is a criminal, Skeezy McScunge, who is the leader of the Tooth Ripper gang, and he's holding up his mugshot, or he's holding up the sign that they hold up in mugshots, and he's got a number there, 2812,
Yep.
which is very relevant to the story that I'm writing at the moment. So if it never gets published, it won't ever make any sense, and no harm, no foul. If it does, I think it's a cool little Easter egg, and I tend to have even in my older books that I illustrated, like Reggie Red and Supernova, there are fish tanks in both of those books because I was working on mertails by that stage. So there's kind of a
Yep.
way to get
Oh,
like
cool.
some oceany, fishy kind of stuff in there. Little nods that, people might
Yep.
one day pick them up, but if they don't, it's just kind of for me. So I'm going to shoot the same question straight back at you, as lazy as that seems. I think that's, a really fun question.
So for me, for some reason I keep having twins in my books. So my husband is a twin and his nan is a twin. So I guess I have a few twins around me. So that happens a lot. And then music, so my background in music, and I also played instruments. That seems to be a common thread.
Mhm.
And then when my mum, it's another cat story. When my mum read Maybe and Beth, the little dog in Maybe and Beth is called King Kong, and my mum was like, "Oh, you must have written that story about my childhood because my cat was called King Kong," and I was like, "Yeah," but I had no idea what she was talking about.
So it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, so that's a coincidence.
No way. That's
But
cool.
I'll let mum think that it was because of that, and that puts me in her good books. I get more
Oh,
coffees bought for me.
King Kong's out of the bag now, though. If she sees this, she'll be like, hey.
Oh, she won't go online.
You say.
Yeah.
um, is there anything you can't do that most adults can?
Oh, I totally really I struggle doing a 9 to 5 job. If I was a person that worked in an office from 9 to 5, just went to work and then just came home and then watched TV, I would not be a happy person. And what can you not do that adults can do?
Mine's really basic. I can't tell left from right.
What? It's really easy. I'll give you a tip. One of them makes an L and one of them doesn't.
I literally have to do that. So I'll be in the car. I'm a terrible, terrible navigator too, because I just forget if people don't know where they're going and they're driving. And so I'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, that was our exit. Yeah,
Wow.
it's funny. East and west, I
Yeah.
know straight away. And it's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
Aw. Can you do this?
No, but I can do something else weird. Oh, I used to be able to.
You do the cabbage, don't you? Yeah.
It's like you pull, yeah, it's just
You gotta practice some more, you're losing it.
yeah, totally.
My husband does
People
like
don't
a
ask me
full
to do it,
cabbage.
that kind of thing very often.
I can do actually, I won't. I can actually turn my eyelids upside down so the red pops out.
Oh, do you do that for schools when you do
No,
visit?
I should.
They would love that. They would
Yeah,
always remember you.
that's true. I should do it. I might get in trouble. Actually, I do wanna tell you something funny.
Mm.
Yesterday, I did a class of 90 kids, and I got them all to chant, "Slap that kid, slap that kid."
Were they directing that
True
at this
story.
specific kid?
Yes, so they were all chanting it at 2 kids. It was like a battle. One had a board, and on the board were all these superpowers. The other one had a sticky, slappy hand, and I'm like, "You can't hit her in the face, you can't hit her legs, you definitely can't hit her bum. You have to hit the board." And so the other kid got its slappy hand and was, like, lining it up, and we're all going, "Slap that kid, slap that kid," and then
Oh
he's
my
like, "Wah!"
god.
I don't think I'll get invited back.
Yeah, I rile the kids up way too much, and then the poor teachers have to spend like 20 minutes saying, you know,
Yeah,
calm down, voices down, be respectful. And I'm like, no, everyone, get out of your chairs and yell things out.
yeah.
And then after the session, I just leave, and then the kids are all riled up. Like, well, that's
Bye.
the teacher's problem now. So yeah, I'm on to the next classroom. See what damage I can do. If you could go back in time and visit yourself when you started writing, what's some advice you would give yourself?
So I started writing books when I was in year 3. I clearly remember because we had a teacher called Mr. Patsouris, who's probably not alive anymore, but he's amazing. And it was in Adelaide, and he said, "We're gonna have a class library, and the only books we're gonna put in it are the ones that you write." So I started writing books, like I'd get bits of paper and staple them together and do the cover and the words. Actually, and then on the back page, I put a table and I wrote name and comment, and I got all the kids in the room to like review my work. So I got my first reviews in year 3. It
Genius.
was like 5 out of 5 and great job. So I had these books in the library, in the classroom library, and I was getting reviews. So that's, yeah, the first time I started writing. And I think if I told myself at that stage, you could be an author, you're awesome, go study a creative writing degree, I think that would have been the best advice because I would have started young. But
Mm,
because like I got to high school and there's so much going on and I forgot how much I loved writing books. And then you go to TAFE and you go to uni and, your parents say, "Oh, do this and do that." And so I didn't actually get back to writing until like 6 years ago. And I'm like in my 40s now. So I wasted a good 40 years.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's that self-belief, that sort of idea that, you actually can do it and you're good enough and your ideas are original enough, and just to give it a
Yeah.
shot. So can you tell us a little bit about your indie publishing journey?
Okay. So looking for Lily, it took about 5 years to write. I think I wrote it about 22 times. And I had 3 paid manuscript assessments, and I got a whole bunch of kids to read it and adults. I made a lot of changes. And then I pitched it at the CYA conference. And the publishing house that read it really liked it. And I was waiting for them to ask me to submit it, and I never got the email. So they must have liked it, but not enough for a submission. And then I think I sent it to a couple of publishing houses, probably not that many. And I got a few, like I got rejections. So I was like, oh, okay, well, this isn't going to work. So I thought, well, I've got this amazing story, and everyone keeps telling me, oh, just put it in a drawer, pitch it later. I was like, nah, I spent all this time on it, so I'm not going to waste it. So I thought, no, I'm just going to put it out myself. And I've got experience working in record labels and music, and I ran a record label myself, like a little indie label. So I have really good marketing experience, and I know how to distribute a product. So I used to do records like actual vinyl. So I thought, I can do this. So yeah, so then I just started. It feels like I've got my own little printing press, or I'm doing something illegal. But yeah, I just found an illustrator and I found a really awesome editor. Yeah, and she is well recognized in WA as a good editor, which is great. Yeah, I just made sure I did everything properly. I had it edited a couple of times, made sure it was really like high standard. The illustrator was amazing. And then, yeah, she laid the book out for me. I went to print. I made sure that it was printed on ethically sourced paper. It's really important to me, like that we know where the paper is coming from and that trees are replanted. It's just, I knew I didn't want to do it offshore. I didn't want it printed in China, even though it would have benefited me financially. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't harming the planet, which is hard with books.
Yes,
because
yes, absolutely. Yes,
yeah, so that was how it kicked off. And then, yeah, and then Maybe and Beth, I pitched to a publisher, and 22 hours later, they wrote back to me and said that they loved it, but chapter books aren't making any money and they couldn't take it on. And so I thought, well, if someone's not going to make any money, how about it's me? So I decided, if this publishing house thinks it's a great story, well, I'm not going to put it away. So yeah, I
yeah.
decided to go indie again, and it is literally is so much fun. I'm just a sucker for doing jobs.
I have to admit the marketing side can be really fun, but I have always admired your marketing, and I'm so not surprised that you've got a bit of a professional background there. Um, yeah, you come across as someone who really knows what they're doing when it comes to selling your book. So, and I think that people underestimate how hard indie publishing really is. Like, you have to wear so many hats and really
Yeah,
rely on any skills you have outside of writing or illustrating, or whatever part of the creative side that you do. You really
yeah.
kind of have to be like a Jill of all trades.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think some people are really great with indie. They have a really good opinion and they understand, how much work it is. And financially, sometimes it can be better off. Like, I know authors that have published on a big publishing house, which I would love to do. Like, don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love that. But I know that the books that I've sold have made more money than what they've received, with their quantity being larger. So there is benefits to independent publishing, but then also there's still people in the industry that maybe are a bit old school and think, it's just a way to get any old book out. But
Mm.
yeah, it's changing. It's not you've got to have a quality product. Like, it has to be a professional product for people to want to buy it, read it, and to get shortlisted in a state writing award. So yeah, hopefully independent publishing, I hope that it changes a bit more in WA.
Hmm. Yeah, there's definitely a stigma to it. I sort of say to people, the best thing about independent publishing is that anyone can do it, and the worst thing about independent publishing is that anyone can do it. And so
Yeah,
you end up with this market that's flooded with not always the best work, and people who don't do what you've done and check all the boxes and do all the right things and jump through all the right hoops,
mm,
using editors, even just having 3 manuscript assessments, like that's above and beyond what
yeah,
most writers do, and it's reflected in the quality of the work. So Looking for Lily is fantastic. It's a really original idea. The
mm,
writing is up there, the illustrations are great, and it's kind of, it's, to me, it was exactly what a traditional publishing house would have put out had they taken
yep,
the project on. But yeah, on the other end of the scale, there is a lot of stuff out there that is just kind of, it's pretty bad, and you can tell people haven't really gone to those same lengths. um
yeah, that's right.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
that's it.
I was going to say, I feel like Looking for Lily would have been really good at a major publisher like Scholastic. I think it could have found a home somewhere where, fairies and those kinds of stories are a big deal. So I did
Yeah.
think that, but I definitely didn't let it simmer long enough. Like, I didn't, like, when I got a couple of no's, I was like, right, I'm doing it myself. I probably could have waited a bit longer and, maybe pitched for an agent or whatever. But yeah, yeah,
But it does also give you, because I've independently published books in the past as well, and it gives you a bit of an eye on the other sides of publishing that I think can be a bit of an advantage once you are traditionally published. So
mhm.
yeah, it's definitely not wasted, and every word written and revised and rewritten is practice. So
I was going to say, with independent publishing, there is one really good downside though. So Sorry, one really good upside. So when your book doesn't sell and you're on a traditional publisher, you like get a bit of a bad name. But at least when I'm losing my money and my book doesn't sell, the only name I'm hurting is like just me and my little heart and my little
Yeah,
bank
yeah.
account.
I like that. That's a good silver lining because it is really scary. Like,
Yeah.
no one wants to be that, that person's books don't sell at all. We don't want to give that person any more contracts. So and I'm sure it absolutely does happen. And you've also almost got
Oh,
to start
yeah.
again
Yeah.
from scratch. We'll start with a pen name. I don't know what you do.
Mm.
That still may happen to me.
Mm.
So you never know.
No, of course not. You've got sharks.
I'll go and change industries. I think I've got, a couple to choose
Yeah.
from, so I'm sure will always be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you're doing a lot of school visits this week with it being book week, of course.
Yeah.
How do you drum up business there? Is it quite competitive where you are, or do you find that schools are really like crying out for names?
I think it's a bit of both. It is definitely competitive. We have West Australia has some amazing authors and amazing authors that do amazing things on stage, like science experiments and blowing things up, and bringing in massive noodles and whacking kids and stuff. So we have like a whole bunch of crazy authors that are just so much fun to watch. And I think the libraries and the schools, they know who those authors are. So yeah, so they do get a lot of the jobs. But having said that, like if you have a good product, so if you develop a really great workshop and you just get one library, even your local library, to take you on, and then you can ask them for a testimonial and you can ask them to take photos of you, maybe not so much of the kids because you won't be allowed to use it, but definitely you in action. And then you can put that on your website and you can use that in emails out to schools and libraries and just say, hey, this is me, this is what I do. Yeah, I think if you've got a strong product that you can pitch to schools and libraries, then you can get bookings. I've been getting quite a lot of bookings this book week, which is awesome. It's ended up becoming a bit of a book month. I didn't expect to get so many, but once I did a couple of good libraries, they start talking to each other
Mm.
and word got out. And with my teaching background, they they were seeking, I think, authors this year that weren't just sitting and talking about their product or talking about themselves, but actually engaging the students. So I do that quite well. I have lots of games where they collaborate in small groups or they come out the front and do a live demonstration. And I try not to pitch my book so much. Like obviously they're going to see my posters and they get bookmarks and things like that. But I'm definitely not there to get them to buy a book. I'm getting paid to teach them something about writing. And that's what's most important to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think having a background as a teacher is a huge advantage. It's something that I've learned doing school visits is that I don't have a teaching background. And I don't think I have a teaching future either. So you can
Yeah.
sometimes I've sort of thought to myself, oh, maybe I should have actually studied education at uni and done a couple of years, and would that kind of have put me in a better position now? But for me, I guess it's a bit more just kind of learn as you go along, and you learn pretty quickly what works and what doesn't, and what to do and what not to do. Sometimes you have to learn that the hard way. But yeah, it is amazing going out there and just engaging with your actual audience, which unless you are a teacher, you really don't get to spend a lot of time with kids other than your own, because it would probably be strange if you were just hanging out with other people's kids randomly saying, look, I'm just trying to absorb their language and what they're into and that kind of thing.
Creep.
Might get in a bit of trouble for that.
I was actually thinking about developing a course for authors because, like, besides my teaching, so I did the 4-year bachelor, and then on top of that, I've done like multiple years training in a way to teach, and it's called instructional intelligence, and it's really developed by a Canadian guy called Barry Bennett. He's like my guru, and I did teaching for 4 years at uni, but I learned more just by doing his PDs than I ever learned at uni, and it's such practical skills and how to giving students wait time when you ask a question, which a lot of teachers don't do. and not pointing at students or saying, hey, you with the Snoopy jumper, but finding a way where you can say, talk to the person next to you. I'll give you 15 seconds to make a decision and you'll talk about this. And then you get those guys to join up with another two. And then out of that four, you nominate someone to speak and they say what their idea was. So just different tactics and strategies in the classroom that you can use in the workshop. So yeah, I just thought it'd be really cool. Like, I have a lot of knowledge in this area. I should probably do something with it and help some authors out. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing some kind of little session through Squibbie or whatever to help everybody with their
Oh, I would
workshops.
so be there. Yes, I will. I'll be first in line for that, because it's those little things that, you do kind of have to learn the hard way, or, some kids aren't okay with being put on the spot and asked questions, and that, or they don't want to speak in front of the class, but they still might have
Yeah.
really great ideas. So, that sounds, really practical. And yes, please do that, and I will take advantage of that.
I'll add it to my list of jobs.
Yeah, if you're anything like me, that list is very long.
But Timmis, how did you come up with the idea for Drawsome? Everybody would love to know.
I've talked about this so many times this week, so I can just turn my brain off now when I answer this question. So yeah, Drawsome, the publisher actually came to me and said, would you like to write a book about sharks? They really liked mertails and they wanted something a little bit different. And so I said, I don't know anything about sharks. I don't even like sharks. I think they're just absolutely horrifying and terrifying. But I went away and did some research and learned that sharks are actually really interesting, and they've all got different personalities. The different species have all their different quirks and things. And then I thought I really want to do something a bit original with sharks. So I tried to sort of pair them with an idea that you normally wouldn't pair with sharks. So I sort of suggested, what about shark detectives? And they said, nope, don't like that one. And so I said, oh, shark superheroes. So they could sort of be the descendants of Joan of Shark and Alexander the Great White. I'm like, oh, no,
cool.
Superheroes are, a bit saturated market at the moment. So, what else do you have? And I was in the car listening to the radio and a One Direction song came on. And I thought, oh, what about a shark boy band? And as I started writing down ideas, it became obvious that it really should be more like a rock band than a pop band. So pitched that idea and they were like, yep, we love it. Let's go with that. So it's been pretty fun coming up with all the puns, playing on famous musicians, Elvis Presley and Shelton John. There's Prawn Mendez and Billy Eelfish, Taylor Swish. So I could honestly just go on forever. So it just kind of lended itself well after coming up with so many ocean puns for mertails. I tried to keep it fresh for Drawsome, but there is a little bit of overlap there. The best thing about the book is that sharks don't have hands, which are really hard to draw. So it was a little bit quicker to draw Drawsome than mertails, which is good because Drawsome is over 300 pages long. There's 2 stories in the book, and every page is illustrated. And I had about 2 months to illustrate the full book. So it was, I really had to go gangbusters on that one and draw every day, and ended up wearing an arm brace just for how much drawing I was doing. But it made it a lot easier that they don't have hands. So the next thing I'm drawing, if the characters have hands, I might be crying in the corner for that one.
Well, that's such an awesome story. I didn't know that when you got to a certain level in your book career, author career, that a publisher would come to you and say, oh, I've got this idea, can you do it? That is awesome.
Yeah, I was really surprised, but I guess they would have all the data of, what kids are looking for. Like when parents or kids go into a bookstore or a library and they say, have you got any books on, whatever, they've got all that kind of information. And unless you want to pay a couple of $1,000s a year to access the Nielsen BookScan data, you just kind of have to guess, and you can't even really go on what's popular now because, all the books coming out now, they've been in development for years. And what's going to be popular next, is already being working on. is already being worked on. So it's a really hard kind of game to play. So if you know anyone who's got any insider knowledge, yeah, use that.
I was just going to say, it's so funny because one of the bookstores I dropped off some books at as a sample, they said to me, book week's coming up. What I'm looking for is books about sharks. And I was just like,
Did they?
I know one, it's coming out. It's called Jawsome. It's going to be great. But just like, they were like, every boy, well, I should really gender every child who may be a boy wants to be a shark.
Wow, see, I guess they knew what they were talking about then.
Yeah,
So we'll see. It's one thing with traditional publishing is that you don't really get to see what your sales data is like. And I know that a lot of authors, you know, they're not really into that. They don't care. But me being a bit of a tech head and I'm a web designer by day, so I love stats and analytics and all that kind of stuff. And having to wait every 6 months to know, you know, what sales data is like, I find that really hard. Whereas with indie publishing, all your sales were in real time. So you knew exactly what your sales were like and whether a particular campaign worked or a particular post or anything like that. So yeah, it's something that I kind of have to just be a bit patient about, which I'm not very good at, but I try my best.
All right, I've got a question for you, Rebecca Timmis. So if your life story was turned into a film, what genre would it be? And what actor or which actor do you think would be perfect to play you?
It would definitely be an underdog film. So lots of montages of me working late nights, that kind of thing. It sounds like I've already been thinking about this.
Yeah, you have. You've already written the script.
But I'm still waiting for that moment where, you know, I get my moment or my day. Yeah, definitely an underdog film. And I think Felicity Jones would play me because
Okay.
we've both got the little chipmunk overbite thing happening in the dark hair. So yeah.
Cute.
Right. So Kristy Nita Brown, my last question for you, best for last. Can you recall one of the stories you wrote as a child? What was it about, and do you still have it?
I wrote a story, and I think I was in probably year 1, the same year I got dacked on the bus. And I think the story was called My Swan because I could draw swans. And I'm pretty sure it was about my swan's day, which was my pet swan. And I remember the last page where it got to the climax and the conclusion, and my swan got eaten by my dog. And do I still have it? No, I wish I had it.
Did you illustrate it?
Yeah, totally, because I could draw swans.
Even swans getting mutilated by the dog?
I don't remember that. I probably didn't include that. Would have been great if I did, but.
Oh, it's got everything. It's got your characters, it's got your drama, it's got your interesting conclusion. I love it. All right, well, thank you for agreeing to do this with me. It has been a lot of fun. Yeah, so Kristy's latest book, Maybe and Beth's double act, Where's My Whistle, is out now, and I will add some links in for where you can purchase the book and follow Kristy and me as well. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching.